We've been told a lie. That hard work guarantees reward. That effort equals value. That the harder you grind, the more life will give you. But if you look around, really look, you'll see the opposite. Some of the hardest working people earn the least. They sweat, sacrifice, show up every day, and still struggle to survive. And those who rise to the top often work less, or at least less visibly. Why? Friedrich Nietzsche saw this coming long before the modern world. He didn't just question the system. We live in the system he warned us about. Nietzsche understood something most people still don't want to face. Not all labor dignifies. Not all effort liberates. Sometimes it enslaves. He saw how society used the idea of work as a moral weapon to keep people obedient, busy, exhausted, to convince them that if they weren't succeeding, it was their fault. They just weren't working hard enough. But Nietzsche called this out for what it is: a slave morality, a belief system designed to keep you in line, to make you proud of your chains. To Nietzsche, real work isn't just toil, it's creation, expression, will-made form. But most people never get there. They're too tired, too burdened by systems that drain them. They work because they have to, not because they choose to. They chase security, not truth. And in doing so, they become cogs, useful, efficient, replaceable. Society loves these workers. It rewards their loyalty with just enough to survive, never enough to be free. And here lies the paradox. The system praises the worker's effort, but not their soul. It tells you to sacrifice now for a future that never quite arrives. It praises the grind while profiting from your exhaustion. You give your best hours, your best years, to tasks that leave you hollow. And at the end of the road, you're told to be grateful, that you've done your duty, that you've been productive. But productive for whom? Nietzsche hated the idea of work as virtue for its own sake. He saw how the herd glorified suffering, not because it was noble, but because it was useful. A tired population doesn't rebel. A drained mind doesn't question. A person trapped in survival mode won't have time to seek truth, or art, or joy. That's why Nietzsche asked, what if the way we work is part of the problem? What if we've built a society that rewards conformity, not brilliance, repetition, not creation? We've come to associate working less with laziness. But Nietzsche flipped the equation. He believed that the truly awake human being doesn't waste themselves in blind labor. They create. They build meaning. They embody will to power, not power over others, but power over self. The power to shape life rather than merely respond to it. But that kind of life demands freedom, and freedom is rare. Because real freedom means you stop selling your time to systems you don't believe in. It means you start asking dangerous questions. Why am I doing this? Who benefits from my work? What would I create if I wasn't afraid? Most people never go there. Because going there means risking comfort, risking reputation, risking everything you've been taught to value. Nietzsche didn't write for the comfortable. He wrote for those who sensed something was wrong, but couldn't name it. For those who woke up tired not from lack of sleep, but from the weight of a life that didn't feel like theirs. He called them the free spirits, the ones who wouldn't be tamed by convention, who wouldn't measure their worth by output or approval. And he knew those people would always be few, but they would be the ones who lived. So when you look around and see people working harder but earning less, not just in money, but in meaning, know that you're not imagining it. You're seeing a world Nietzsche described long ago, a world where effort is exploited, not honored, where labor becomes a leash, where the system survives by keeping you too tired to question it. Nietzsche didn't believe in comfort. He believed in becoming. And becoming, for him, was never about working harder. It was about working differently. Not for approval, not for survival, not to feed a machine, but to affirm life. Not the version of life handed to you, but the one you carve from chaos with your own hands. That kind of work doesn't look like sacrifice. It looks like risk, like rebellion, like saying no to the system that tells you your value is how exhausted you are. In Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Nietzsche's prophet comes down from the mountains to speak to the people, but they don't want to hear about freedom or self-overcoming. They want comfort, routine, rules. They want to work, rest, die, and call it a good life. Zarathustra sees it, the last man, the one who no longer dreams, no longer dares, no longer asks why. That's the endpoint of a world that values effort over essence, a world full of people who work endlessly, but never really live. That is the disease Nietzsche was diagnosing. Not just economic exploitation, but spiritual resignation. A slow surrender of the will, the gradual death of the question, what is my life for? When you work without meaning, day after day, year after year, your soul doesn't scream. It fades, it dulls, and you become something easy to manage, reliable, predictable, but dead inside. And this is where Nietzsche becomes dangerous, because he refuses to comfort you. He doesn't tell you that things will get better if you just keep going. He tells you to stop, to destroy your illusions, to face the emptiness at the core of your routines, to ask whether the person waking up at 6 a.m., grinding through traffic, swallowing stress, surviving the week, is that you? Or is that a role you've inherited from a system that needs you obedient? He doesn't give you an answer. He gives you a mirror. And in that mirror, you might see that the freedom you crave is not out there. It's in the courage to break from the pattern, to stop defining your value by how hard you work, to stop measuring your days by productivity, to stop believing that the more exhausted you are, the more you matter. For Nietzsche, the highest human type is not the servant of duty, but the creator, the one who transforms suffering into strength, chaos into form, instinct into art. That kind of life isn't easy. It's not linear. It has no blueprint. But it's real. And it begins the moment you stop asking, how do I survive this system? And start asking, what do I want to create beyond it? This doesn't mean quitting your job. It doesn't mean walking away from responsibility. It means shifting the center of gravity. It means refusing to let your worth be dictated by your paycheck, your schedule, your busyness. It means doing whatever you must to keep your fire alive, even if the world tells you it's useless, even if it doesn't pay. Because Nietzsche's vision isn't about laziness. It's about intensity, but an intensity that serves your spirit, not your overseer. It's about building something that affirms who you are, not proving you deserve to exist. He wrote for those who were willing to carry their own values, not inherit them. To say yes to life, not just endure it. And that kind of work will always look strange to a culture built on exhaustion. You may seem unfocused, unambitious, ungrateful. You may earn less, but you'll be more. And in Nietzsche's world, that's the only real success. In the end, working hard and earning less isn't just an economic problem, it's a philosophical one. It reveals a world that rewards obedience, not originality. But Nietzsche believed a different life is possible. A life where you create your own meaning, shape your own values, write your own rhythm. A life where work doesn't kill your soul, but reveals it. That life is dangerous, unstable, uncertain, but it's also alive. And in a world of tired people performing their worth, maybe the most radical thing you can do is stop performing and start becoming.